Sayadanuvrata pumsam pashubudir vipidyate anya esha titanyoham iti beda gatasati. Sayadanuvrata pumsam pashubudir vipidyate anya esha tatanyoham iti beda gatasati. Sa, that Supreme Personality of Godhead, yada, when, anuvrata, favorable or pleased, pumsam, of the conditioned souls, pashubuddhi, the animalistic conception of life. I am the Supreme and everyone is God. Vibidyate is destroyed. Anya, another. Esha, this. Tata, as well as. Anya, another. Aham, I. Iti, thus. Beda, distinction. Gata, having. Asati, which is disastrous. Translation. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead is pleased with the living entity because of his devotional service, one becomes a pundit and does not make distinction between enemies, friends, and himself. Intelligently, he then thinks everyone is an eternal servant of God, and therefore we are not different from one another. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. When Prahlad Maharaj's teachers and demoniac father asked him how his intelligence had been polluted, Prahlad Maharaj said, "As far as I am concerned, my intelligence has not been polluted. Rather, by the grace of my spiritual master and by the grace of my Lord, Krishna, I have now learned that no one is my enemy and no one is my friend. We are all actually eternal servants of Krishna. But under the influence of the external energy, we think that we are separately situated from the Supreme Personality of Godhead as friends and enemies of one another. This mistaken idea has now been corrected, and therefore, unlike ordinary human beings, I no longer think that I am God and that others are my friends and enemies. Now I am rightly thinking that everyone is an eternal servant of God and that our duty is to serve the Supreme Master. For then we shall stand on the platform of oneness as servants." So I will stop intermittently during the purport to speak. And to begin, I want to comment on one sentence here. I no longer think that I am God and that others are my friends and enemies. We may or may not admit that we think of ourselves as God, but the underlying mentality or psychology of everyone in the material world is to think that he is the center of the universe. My godbrother Borijan Prabhu says that it's as if people are walking around in the with the consciousness to say, "Excuse me, I have an important announcement to make. I am the center of the universe, and you all should cooperate with me and do what I want." He gives the example that most people live their lives as if it were a drama or a movie in which he or she is the hero or heroine. And he thinks that everyone else is the supporting cast who is meant to support ourselves in our, heroic exploits. So you can imagine how much conflict there will be, because I'm thinking I'm the center and you should be supporting me, and you're thinking you're the center and I should be supporting you. I'm thinking I'm the hero and you're the supporting cast, and you're thinking, no, I'm the hero and you're the supporting cast. So this is the mentality of conditioned souls, to think that they are the center of the universe, or the hero or the heroine of the drama or movie of life. And in this verse, Prahlad Maharaj describes how he became freed from that mentality. So I will go back to the purport. So yes, we are all actually eternal servants of Krishna, but under the influence of the external energy, we think that we are separately situated from the personality of Godhead as friends and enemies of one another. So yeah, I think I'm the center, I'm the hero, I'm the heroine. And if you support me, you're my friend. And if you don't, you're my enemy. This mistaken idea has now been corrected, and therefore, unlike ordinary human beings, I no longer think that I am God and that others are my friends and enemies. Now I am rightly thinking that everyone is an eternal servant of God, and that our duty is to serve the Supreme Master. For then we shall stand on the platform of oneness as servants. Demons think of everyone as a friend or enemy. But Vaishnavas say that since everyone is a servant of the Lord, everyone is on the same platform. Therefore, a Vaishnav treats other living entities neither as friends nor as enemies, but instead tries to spread Krishna consciousness, teaching everyone that we are all one as servants of the Supreme Lord, but are uselessly wasting our valuable lives by creating nations communities, and other groups of friends and enemies. Everyone should come to the platform of Krishna consciousness and thus feel oneness as a servant of the Lord. So this is instructive for us because even though we are in a spiritual society and should keep Krishna in the center and work cooperatively for the pleasure of Krishna, due to our conditioning, we may still have the tendency to want to be the center and to think of others as friends or enemies according to whether they support us or not in our ambitions. Everyone should come to the platform of Krishna consciousness and thus feel oneness as a servant of the Lord. Although there are 8,400,000 species of life, a Vaishnava feels this oneness. The Ishopanishad advises ekatvam anupashyataha. That's Ishopanishad 7. A devotee should see the Supreme Personality of Godhead to be situated in everyone's heart and should also see every living entity as an eternal servant of the Lord. This vision is called ekatvam, oneness. And I'll just read that, a very nice verse. Sri Ishopanishad Mantra 7. Yasmin sarvani bhutani atmaiva bhut vijanata tatra ko mohaka shoka ekatvam anupashyataha. One who always sees all living entities as spiritual sparks, in quality one with the Lord, becomes a true knower of things. What then can be illusion or anxiety for him? So anupashyata means, ekatvam anupashyata means to see the oneness in all living entities. This vision is called ekatvam. Although there is a relationship of master and servant, both master and servant are one because of their spiritual identity. Lord Chaitanya's sublime philosophy is called Achintya Veda Ved Tattva, inconceivable, simultaneous, oneness, and difference. The Lord and the living entities are one in quality, but different in quantity. The Lord is infinite, and the living entities are infinitesimal, as Srila Prabhupada would say, or as we would say, infinitesimal. So we are one in quality, because we're spiritual, but different in quantity. because again, the Lord is infinite, and we are infinitesimal. And because we are one in quality, we can have relationships with one another. We can have relationships with the Lord. And because the Lord is great and we are small, the relationship is defined as one of servant and master. We are the servants and the Lord is the master. So that is Achintya Veda Tattva, inconceivable, simultaneous oneness and difference. So, although there is a relationship of master and servant, both master and servant are one because of their spiritual identity. This is also a Kattvam. Thus, the conception of a Kattvam for the Vaishnava is different from that of the Mayavadi. Hiranyakashipu asked Prahlad Maharaj how he had become antagonistic to his family. When a family member is killed by an enemy, all the members of the family would naturally be inimical to the murderer. But Hiranyakashipu saw that Prahlad had become friendly with the murderer. The background is that Hiranyakashipu had a brother named Hiranyaksha. And Hiranyaksha was killed by Vishnu in the form of Varahadev. So ordinarily, the members of a family would be inimical to a person who killed one of their relatives. And in the case of Prahlad Maharaj, Vishnu, in the form of Varahadev, had killed his uncle, Hiranyaksha, the brother of his father. But Prahlad, rather than being inimical to Vishnu, as his father was friendly with the murderer, as Prabhupada says here. Therefore, Hiranyakashipu asked, "Who has created this kind of intelligence in you? Have you developed this consciousness by yourself? Since you are a small boy, someone must have induced you to think this way." To give a little background, one day, Hiranyakashipu asked his son, Prahlad, what is the best thing you have learned from your teachers? And Prahlad replied, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Padasevanam Archanam Vandanam Sakyam Atmanivedanam. The 9 kinds of devotional service, Navaviti Bhakti. So when Hiranyakashipu heard this answer from Prahlad, he became angry. And he blamed Prahlad's teachers, Amarka and Sananda, who were the sons of Shukracharya, who was the guru of the demons. So Hiranyakashipu blamed them that you are teaching Prahlad wrong things. And they said, no, we are not. Because Prahlad had spoken favorably about Vishnu. Then Hiranyakashipu said, then you are allowing Vaishnavas in disguise to enter into the school. And the teacher said, no, we are not allowing Vaishnavas in disguise to infiltrate. Then Hiranyakasipu said, how has Prahlad learned this? And the teachers replied, we don't know. You better ask him. And through very beautiful and important verses, Prahlad Maharaj explained, Nate vidu svartha gatim Vishnu, that people, they do not know that their real interest is Vishnu. Yes, after saying this, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, so Prahlad's father asked him, how have you become Krishna conscious? And Prahlad replied, Matirna Krishna parato satova mito bipadyeta grihavratanam adanta gobir vishatam tamisram puna punascharvita charvananam. So Matirna Krishna means one's inclination to Krishna is never aroused from parato, the efforts of others, swato, from one's own efforts, and by the combined efforts of oneself and others. So one might think logically, all the possibilities have been eliminated. Matirna Krishna parato svatova. And then Prahlad explains the mystery. Naishammatistava rukramangrim sprishatyanartha pagamo yadartha mahiyashanpada rajobhishekam iskinchananam navranita yavat. Unless they smear upon their bodies the dust of the lotus feet of a Vaishnava, completely freed from material contamination, persons very much inclined towards materialistic life cannot be attached to the lotus feet of the Lord, who is glorified for his uncommon activities. Only by becoming Krishna conscious and taking shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord in this way can one be freed from material contamination. So in effect, Prahlad was telling his father that you don't need to worry about becoming Krishna conscious. You can become Krishna conscious only if you bow down to the lotus feet of a pure devotee. Pada Rajobhishekam. Abhishek means like a bathing ceremony. Literally, Pada Rajobhishekam means to bathe oneself in the dust of the lotus feet of a pure devotee. So Prahlad was, in effect, telling his father, you don't need to worry about becoming Krishna conscious because you're too proud. You'll never bow down to the lotus feet of the pure devotee. So now, returning to the purport. When a family member is killed by an enemy, all the members of the family would naturally be inimical to the murderer. But Hiranyakashipu saw that Prahlad had become friendly with the murderer. Therefore, he asked, "Who has created this kind of intelligence in you? Have you developed this consciousness by yourself? Since you are a small boy, someone must have induced you to think this way." Prahlad Maharaj wanted to reply that an attitude favorable toward Vishnu can develop only when the Lord is favorable. Sayadanuvrataha. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is the friend of everyone. Suridam sarvabhutanam gyatva mam shantim richati. The Lord is never an enemy to any of the millions of living entities, but is always a friend to everyone. This is true understanding. If one thinks that the Lord is an enemy, his intelligence is pashu buddhi, the intelligence of an animal. He falsely thinks, "I am different from my enemy, and my enemy is different from me. The enemy has done this, and therefore my duty is to kill him." And that was Hiranyakashipu's mentality. My enemy has done this, killed my brother Hiranyaksha, and therefore my duty is to kill him. This misconception is described in this verse as Beda Gatasati, disastrous. The actual fact is that everyone is a servant of the Lord, as confirmed in Chaitanya Charitamrita by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Jiver Swarupai Krishnara Nityadas, which means that the constitutional position or Swarup, the constitutional position of the living entity is that he is Krishnara Nityadas, eternal servant of Krishna. As servants of the Lord, we are one, and there can be no questions of enmity or friendship. My dear devotees, please take note. There can be no questions of enmity or friendship. If one actually understands that every one of us is a servant of the Lord, where is the question of enemy or friend? Everyone should be friendly for the service of the Lord. I repeat that. Everyone should be friendly for the service of the Lord. Everyone should praise another's service to the Lord and not be proud of his own service. This is the way of Vaishnava thinking, Vaikuntha thinking. There may be rivalries and apparent competition between servants in performing service, but in the Vaikuntha planets, the service of another servant is appreciated, not condemned. This is Vaikuntha competition. So Srila Prabhupada has explained the difference between transcendental competition and materialistic competition. Srila Prabhupada did encourage competition in book distribution, for example. I remember once in Juhu, Srila Prabhupada was in his room. Srila Prabhupada was speaking about the competition in book distribution between the Los Angeles Temple, which is very strong in book distribution, and the book distribution of Tamal Krishna Goswami's Radha Damodar Party. And Srila Prabhupada smiled and said, if Los Angeles defeats the Radha Damodar Party, Tamal Krishna will have a heart attack. So Srila Prabhupada did encourage competition, but transcendental competition. So what is the difference between transcendental competition and mundane competition? The difference is that in transcendental competition, one admits the good qualities of the other party, appreciates the good service of the other party. But still, one wants to excel. One wants to exceed their performance to give more pleasure to Krishna. That is transcendental. And mundane means that we don't acknowledge the good qualities or good service of the other party. But we put them down. Or in other words, we're envious. We're envious, and if someone praises another person, we think, oh, well, you don't know what that person's really like. I know what that person's really like. And if you knew, you wouldn't be praising him. So that's a materialistic attitude. But so transcendental competition is wonderful, because the ultimate result is to give more pleasure to Krishna. So, coming back to the purport, there may be rivalries and apparent competition between servants in performing service, but in the Vaikuntha planets, the service of another servant is appreciated, not condemned. This is Vaikuntha competition. There is no question of enmity between servants. Everyone should be allowed to render service to the Lord to the best of his ability, and everyone should appreciate the service of others. This is so purifying. Everyone should be allowed to render service to the Lord to the best of his ability, and everyone should appreciate the service of others. Such are the activities of Vaikuntha. Since everyone is a servant, everyone is on the same platform, and is allowed to serve the Lord according to his ability. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 15:15, Sarvasya chaham hridisanivisto matta smritirgyanam apohanam cha. The Lord is situated in everyone's heart, giving dictation according to the attitude of the servant. However, the Lord gives different dictation to the non-devotees and the devotees. The non-devotees challenge the authority of the Supreme Lord, and therefore the Lord dictates in such a way that the non-devotee forgets the Lord's service life after life, and are punished by the laws of nature. When a devotee very sincerely wants to render service to the Lord dictates in a different way. As the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 10:10, Tesham satata yuktanam vajitam priti purvakam tadami buddhi yogam tam yenamam upayantite. To those who are constantly devoted and worship me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. Everyone is actually a servant, not an enemy or friend, and everyone is working under different directions from the Lord, who directs each living entity according to his mentality. So we should cultivate this mood of service, this vision of seeing the others as eternal servants of Krishna, and seeing us all as one, as servants of Krishna. And we can also develop that consciousness by cleansing the heart, by chanting the holy names, Cheto Darpano Marjanam. That when we purify our hearts, then naturally we will see Krishna as the Supreme, and see one another as Krishna's servants, and see ourselves all as one, as servants of Krishna. And then our relationships will be very congenial and harmonious, and Krishna and Srila Prabhupada will be more pleased. As Srila Prabhupada said, your love for me will be shown by how you cooperate together to maintain this institution after I am gone. And so the mentality or the consciousness that is favorable for that cooperation is explained in this verse and purport, and thus is very important for us to show our love for Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. So, are there any questions or comments? If you have any questions, raise your hand.
Hare Krishna, dear Guru Maharaj. Oh, sorry.
Hare Krishna, Sakshi.
Can I ask a question? Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to you. Guru Maharaj, I wanted to ask, how does one develop the genuine humility to think of oneself as a servant of Krishna at all times? Because there are times when we hear classes and we feel that I'm a servant of Krishna, but somehow or the other later, due to the modes of material nature and due to our own pride, we feel like the hero or the heroine, and we treat everyone else as supporting caste. So how does one develop the genuine humility and maintain it?
Yes, that's a very good and practical question. To begin, I would recommend attentive chanting, because attentive chanting will make you humble And even if you struggle to chant attentively, which many of us do, that also should make you humble. You know, you think you're so great, but you can't even fix your mind on one mantra without your mind wandering. So either way, chanting attentively successfully will cleanse your heart and make you humble, because you realize you're the eternal servant of Krishna, not even eternal servant of Krishna, but servant of the servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna. As Chaitanya Mahaprabhu described himself, I am not a brahmachari, I'm not a grihastha, I'm not a vanaprastha, I'm not a sannyasi, I'm not a brahmin, I'm not a kshatriya, I'm not a vaishya, I'm not a shudra. Then what are you? Gopi Bhartu Padakamayor Dasa Dasa Das. I'm a servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna, the maintainer of the gopis. So that is our actual identity. And again, if we're able to chant attentively, then, you know, Chaito Darpano Marjanam, our heart, the mirror of the mind will be cleansed, and we can see ourselves as we are, as eternal servants of the servants of Krishna. And if we're not successful, that also should make us humble, because we can't even chant with attention, but still we have to keep trying. As Burijan Prabhu says, when we chant, it's a battle with the mind. We can't just give in to the mind and let it go take us wherever it wants. He said it's a battle, but that battle must be fought. So, yeah, keep trying.
Thank you so much, Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Brahma Samhita Das.
I got to unmute. No. You know, a lot. This is a fascinating topic. A lot could be said about it. I suppose a few thoughts come to my mind, though, when I hear this. I guess one thing is that I don't remember if it was Rupa Goswami or Sanatana Goswami, but they talk about envy in certain place. And they say that envy can actually be used for advancement in Krishna consciousness. But it's better not to even try to do that. So they say, don't worry about that, go into something else. So I suppose in practical terms, when we are encouraging competition amongst devotees, it seems like, you tell me, I think that, if we are encouraging that type of competition, I think, don't we have to kind of be aware that it doesn't get out of hand such that the competition becomes unwieldy and people develop, genuine animosity. That's one thing. And I guess the other thing too that comes to mind, a lot comes to my mind actually when you say these things. But I will note that even for, we've seen in practical terms, that even some of our most advanced devotees, for one reason or another, people do become envious and develop like an inimical attitude. And I don't know, it's just kind of wondering maybe what you had to say about those two things.
Well, yes, Srila Prabhupada did say that cooperation is higher than competition. And he encouraged transcendental competition. But in cases where the competition became too bitter, Srila Prabhupada stopped it.
Mm-hmm.
In the Chicago temple, at one stage, the competition became very bitter. And Srila Prabhupada said, if that's the case, then they should just stop book distribution altogether. And they should just sit down in the temple and chant and hear together. So, yes, he wanted his books to be distributed and to encourage book distribution. He also supported competition, but only to the extent that it was favorable. And if it became unfavorable, then he stopped it. And then what was the second part?
I suppose the second part was that, we even, I've noticed.
Yeah, it was about enviousness.
That's right. Even of great, very advanced devotees. I hate to bring it up, but, my Guru Maharaj was the purest of people. But, still there were people, even in our society, that had like an inimical attitude towards it. And I'm just kind of wondering, how does that happen in practical terms? What can be done about it?
Oh, well, that is a problem, to be envious of devotees. And it's more serious when one is envious of more advanced, empowered devotee. Yeah, that's disastrous, as Prahlad says. I mean, I had my own contemplation of envy. In 1970, we were with, or 71, we were with Srila Prabhupada in Surat. And I had been thinking a lot about envy, that it was bad for me, and that it could disturb my relationships with the other devotees. And I also considered that there's no reason to be envious of another devotee for having some service, because Krishna is unlimited, and therefore Krishna's service is unlimited. So even if some devotee has a particular service, it doesn't mean that I won't have another service. I will also have service. And so there's no reason to be envious, and there's no benefit to being envious. So I approached Srila Prabhupada while he was taking his massage, and I brought up the question of envy. And he immediately responded, can you think of any reasons not to be envious? And I'd already thought of so many reasons. And I said, yes. Then he said, all right. Then to be envious means that you don't like someone. So that not liking should not be directed towards devotees. That not liking should be directed toward demons who are always creating problems for devotees. So, yes, and Srila Narottam Das Thakur, he explains how everything, lust, greed, anger, all those things can be dovetailed in the service of the Lord. But the one thing that cannot be dovetailed in the service of the Lord is envy. Envy of the Lord is what brings us into the material world and keeps us here. So, yeah, we have to become free from envy. And if we think about it, there's so many reasons not to be envious. But if we still have that envious feeling, which Srila Prabhupada said, it means like not liking, you don't like someone, then, direct that towards the demons, not towards the devotees. I mean, we just read everyone should be friendly for the service of the Lord. So. Is that all right? Have a problem with that?
No, I don't have a problem with it. But just to finish up, maybe you can just remark briefly on, it does seem like to me that it is Kali Yuga. And it seems like to me, you correct me if I'm wrong, but, this is a very big, ambitious undertaking, an international society for Krishna consciousness. And I don't know, I just think that, disturbances of this nature, in Kali Yuga are to be expected. And I'm just wondering, how can they best be managed such that, things don't get torn apart.
Yeah, that's true. We are in Kali Yuga, and there is that tendency. I'll read something nice that Srila Prabhupada said. Quote, suppose you are in this Krishna conscious society. Now, you cannot expect that all the members of the society will be first-class men. How can we expect that? We are collecting members of the society from all classes of men. So there may be a man in goodness, a man in passion, and a man in ignorance. But if you think, oh, this man is not good, that man is not good, no, you should be tolerant. You haven't got any connection with this man or that man. You are connected with the philosophy, with the process of life. Suppose you are on the ship. You do not find all the men to be of your choice. There may be different kinds of men, but what is that to you? You have to patiently cross the ocean. Just sit down tightly on the ship and take advantage of the opportunity. That is your business. That's a lecture by Srila Prabhupada in New York on January 3rd, 1967. And another perhaps relevant quotation, quote, although there may be some difficulties within our society, these things are not very important. What is important is that we should simply fix our mind on Krishna's lotus feet. That is his instruction in the Bhagavad Gita. So we associate with one another so that we can assist each other in hearing and chanting about Krishna. That is the purpose of our society, to assist each other in hearing and chanting about Krishna. This you will not find in the materialistic society, where all hearing and chanting is simply concerned with sense gratification. So our desire is Krishna, and we want to go back home, back to Godhead, where Krishna lives eternally. So you simply follow my instructions as I have given them to you, and surely your life will be a success. Srila Prabhupada letter, dated November 22nd, 1974. Yeah, I like that. You haven't got any connection with this man or that man. You are connected with the philosophy, with the process of life. Suppose you are on the ship. You do not find all men to be of your choice. But what is that to you? You have to patiently cross the ocean. Just sit down tightly on the ship and take advantage of the opportunity.
Thank you for purifying my intelligence. I very much appreciate it. I really do. Take those words to heart.
Thank you for your reciprocation. Yes, Karunavatar Das.
Please accept my obeisances, Guru Maharaj. My question is related to the verse that Prahlad Maharaj spoke about. You cannot become Krishna conscious by your own effort or somebody else's effort. And I was thinking about how sometimes there are times where we may feel that we are putting in the effort, but we are not getting Krishna's mercy, or at least in the way that we expect the mercy to be. So I was wondering, I don't know if it's a case of not surrendering to a pure devotee completely, if it's other things, or if it's a case of insincerity, I'm just not sure. So I guess there are two parts to the question, Guru Maharaj. What could be causing it, and how do we fix it?
You're talking about lack of spiritual progress according to your hope or desire.
Yes, Guru Maharaj.
Well, in the Nectar of Instruction, Upadeshamrita, Srila Rupa Goswami describes different qualities that are necessary for success. So first is utsaha. Utsaha nischaya dharya tatra karma pravartana. So utsaha means enthusiasm. Nischayat means confidence. And daryat means patience. So it may be that you are lacking patience. Srila Prabhupada said that enthusiasm without patience can lead to a desire to control. And patience without enthusiasm can lead to lethargy. So we need to have both. Utsaha nischayat daryat. Tatrat karma pravartana. That means performing activities favorable for devotional service. Sangha tyagat. That means giving up the association of non-devotees. Sato vrite. following in the footsteps of the previous acharyas. Sadbir Bhakti Prasiddhiti. These 6 principles undoubtedly ensure the complete success of pure devotional service. So, it's good that you're enthusiastic, but at the same time, you may need to be more patient. And you can read this. I've just presented the verse to you, but it's a very good purport in the Upadeshamrita text 3.
May I ask a little follow-up, Guru Maharaj?
Yeah, I'll just add one thing that that I remember. That Srila Prabhupada said in the purport says that that Krishna consciousness is so pure and perfect that one will be dragged to ultimate success.
Yes. So I was wondering, Guru Maharaj, that this you spoke about patience, and so it sometimes seems, I don't know, contradictory, or because you're trying to develop patience, but how do you develop patience when you're meant to desire spiritual progress? So in my heart, there's some sort of a contradiction between sincerely desiring spiritual progress and developing patience. I mean, I don't know what it is, but I guess I haven't understood patience properly.
Mm-hmm. It's good to be eager. It's good to be enthusiastic. It's good to be eager. But you can't expect that you can overcome perhaps lifetimes of conditioning so quickly. You have to give the process time to work. And the nischayat, confidence, that's also very important. One reason someone might be impatient is because one lacks confidence and it has some anxiety that, if I'm not successful right away, I won't be successful. But nischayat means you're confident you will be successful. So you can be patient because ultimately you will be successful. If you're not sure that you'll reach a certain destination, you might be very anxious and impatient. But if you know you'll reach it eventually, then you can relax and enjoy the journey.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Maharaj,
Yes?
I liked your mention of the ship. 1 year, Tamal Krishna Maharaj was in Hungary farm for Srila Prabhupada's Vyasa Puja, and under Shiva Maharaj's direction, the devotees there made a boat in the temple, and Prabhupada was the captain of the ship, and the ship was pointed towards Krishna, and there was different fish and like sharks that were like the Apasampradayas, the Mayavadi philosophy. They were kind of on the side of the ship, but the ship was moving forward. And so I thought that ISKCON can be compared to the ship. And, somehow Prabhupada gave us some shelter and guidance. And yet I was wondering, like, if someone leaves the ship of ISKCON, some people end up in another spiritual movement or something. So I was just wondering if even though we are loyal to ISKCON, if we should have some appreciation of other spiritual groups without being disloyal to ISKCON, but like in your book, there's a story of this Muslim film star when the devotees in Jew were being attacked. Mr. Khan stood up for the devotees, which was a nice spirit. So can we try to develop that kind of outlook also?
Oh, sure. We can appreciate devotees, if you use the term in a broad sense. We can appreciate devotees in other traditions. But someone leaving ISKCON to go somewhere else, I mean, yeah, I wouldn't feel so good about that. Then again, Srila Prabhupada said if someone leaves, we should take 50% of the responsibility and they get 50% of the blame. So we should also think why, what could we have done so that that person wouldn't have left. But yeah, certainly we should appreciate God consciousness, genuine God consciousness wherever we see it, in whatever tradition.
Well, one comment is that when in your book you describe how one time there was a lot of different devotees had different ideas of how to do things, and they were trying to sincerely serve Prabhupada, but there was, challenges and different personalities, and one devotee spit at you. Somehow you tolerated it, and you didn't take the materialistic kind of offense, I don't think.
No.
And to me, that was very inspiring and very, wonderful example that you wanted to serve Prabhupada and could tolerate something that was not so nice done to you. So I appreciate that.
Thank you. There was another, it's not in the book, it was related to the Hyderabad farm. And at the Hyderabad farm, there were 3 leaders. And they're all very strong-willed and highly opinionated. And Srila Prabhupada instructed them, you sit together, you fight like cats and dogs, and then when you all agree, you go forward. In other words, the dedication to Srila Prabhupada's service takes precedence over everything else. Yeah, even if they have to fight like cats and dogs to come to a conclusion, but eventually their desire to serve Srila Prabhupada should prevail and bring them to the best conclusion. In spite of their strong individual personalities. So I see 2 more hands. Chandrika Priya's hand was up first, so we'll call on her first, and then Shambhala Prabhu.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to you. Guru Maharaj, I had 2 questions. Oh, sorry. Sorry, Guru Maharaj. Sorry, Guru Maharaj. I had a couple of questions, but the first question is that we know that Vaishnava service is higher, like, at the neophyte stage, the neophyte devotee is more attracted to deity worship than to Vaishnava service. But if you're at that stage, then what should you do? Like, just it's because you're not, because it's not like you don't like Vaishnava service, but sometimes Vaishnava service can be really hard. And it can maybe lead to more offenses. So then in that case, what should a devotee do?
Why would serving Vaishnavas lead to offenses?
Because sometimes, like, I think like a high level of maturity would be required to, or sometimes like, with different natures and different, understandings. It's like, because we see Guru Maharaj, you tolerated so much, but like, should you tolerate or should you say something to the Vaishnavas?
Depends what it is. I mean, like they say, choose your battles. So it's something small, might be better to tolerate than protest. But if it's something important, then you could bring it up. And if you're not in a position to bring it up yourself, then maybe you can explain the situation to someone else, maybe a more senior devotee who the other devotee respects, and maybe the more senior devotee can instruct that devotee. As long as the devotee is not upset that you complain to the senior devotee. But yeah, otherwise, in an open-hearted, Vaishnav-like way, with humility and respect, you can express yourself to the devotee.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Haribol, Guru Maharaj, please accept my obeisances.
Jai.
Wonderful to be in your association, the other devotees here.
Thank you.
It's interesting. I used to have this happen a lot when I would talk to my mother sometimes, but this morning I was watching on YouTube, Gaura Govinda Swami. Specifically, the lecture was without the mercy of the sadhu guru, you cannot overcome Maya. And then again here today, we were talking about pretty much the exact same thing. So whenever that used to happen, I would tell my mother, it's like, Krishna's like, okay, you need to pay attention to this. Like, this is really listen to this. And so this is, the third time is kind of today specifically. So, and then I thought about the fact that, I'm coming up on 2 years where you gave me your, you gave me your mercy, and 2 years, I just can't thank you enough, for allowing me to become your disciple. It's, I think about the time when I'm chanting and I'm not paying attention. I think about how Srila Prabhupada said, sit properly. And so I kind of imagine you sometimes if I'm like slacking or sitting down, I think about that and I imagine that I'm there with you. So mine's more of a comment. I just want to say I'm really, really thankful that I'm able to be a part of this Krishna conscious movement. And I pray by your mercy, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, that I can share this with others. I mean, this is the greatest gift that anyone has given me, and there's nothing can top it. So thank you very much, Guru Maharaj.
Aye, beautiful, wonderful. And just for those who don't know, Shambhala Prabhu's late mother, was a great devotee, Krishna Nandini Devi Dasi. Yeah, very extraordinary devotee. Hare Krishna. So Kartiki,
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Maharaj, I have a small question. Whenever I had question in my mind, that same moment, or maybe a couple of moments, I get the answer from within my heart. So I wanted to know that is it my Paramatma guiding me, or is it my ego boosting in that same way, like dictating me in that way? How to distinguish between that? Is it my Paramatma guiding or my ego?
No, if the answer is a genuine answer, then it's like what we read at the end of the purport. Kesham satatayuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam tadami buddhi yogam tam yena mamut payantite. To those who worship me, with love and devotion, I give the intelligence by which they can come to me. Yeah.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Yeah. Krishna gives you the intelligence, so no place for false ego there.
Thank you. Thank you.
Shakshi, did you raise your hand again, or you just didn't take it down?
No, sorry, Guru Maharaj. I have another question.
Okay.
Guru Maharaj, with relation to Kartiki Mataji's question, it also happens with me sometimes that I get an immediate answer from within, but that's actually a wrong answer. When I consult devotees, I find out it's wrong. But all this while I've been thinking it's Krishna guiding me from within, and I have full confidence with my answers, but I go ask some seniors and turns out I'm terribly wrong. How do I distinguish between the right and the wrong then, Guru Maharaj?
Well, you yourself said it by consulting more mature and experienced devotees. That's the way.
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Malati Dasi?
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to your divine grace, Guru Maharaj. Guru Maharaj, as I feel that I am the center of this small universe, what Krishna has provided me, I try to control the activities according to my own intelligence. But by the process of devotional service, every day it gets you in the consciousness again to become the servant of the servant of the servant. But then it aggravates more when you see around the environment that there is enviousness around. So, Guru Maharaj, then what should be your attitude towards the situation where you see these things happening, Guru Maharaj?
Enviousness of whom?
If you see, both the parties and you have spoken, and then you see enviousness in the situation. So what should be our attitude?
They're envious of each other. They're envious of each other.
Yes, Guru Maharaj.
Well, one possibility would be to read today's verse and purport. Everyone should be friendly for the service of the Lord. Everyone should appreciate the service of others and not be proud of his own service.
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. So next I saw Guru Bhakti and then Susmita.
I think Sushmita was ahead of me.
Oh, she was. Okay. All right.
That's okay, Mataji. Go ahead. That's fine.
We're in Vaikuntha.
In the analogy you gave about the ship, that we should sit tightly on the ship, what should be our attitude if we see that if an attempt is made to push someone off the ship? You gave in the case of the Juhu story, you gave the example how you tolerated. But if it's happening to us, what about if we see it happening to someone else? What is our responsibility?
Oh, well, we should intervene. Yeah, I mean, Srila Prabhupada said that we have to spend gallons of blood to make one devotee. So to lose a devotee is a great loss. So if we think that someone's trying to push someone out, well, there's two ways of intervening. One is to approach the person who's doing the pushing, to request them to desist, if possible. And the other, I think, with or without the first, is to go to the victim, so to speak, and say, yeah, I'm sorry that so-and-so is treating you this way, but, try to tolerate it, and, we're with you, we're for you, we want you to stay with us, and, such a great opportunity to come to Krishna consciousness, maybe even say, maybe it's a test of Maya to see how sincere and determined you are. So, please don't leave, don't miss the opportunity. Srila Prabhupada said that, especially in the beginning, Maya tests whether this person has come to serve Krishna or to disturb Krishna with his or her material desires. So that's also a very somehow we have to give the person this, strength and encouragement to pass the test. Let me see if I can find that. I mean, I definitely can, but I don't know how long it would take. Well, yes, here it is. If one takes to Krishna, this is Srila Prabhupada as recorded in Teachings of Queen Kunti, Chapter 3. If one takes to Krishna consciousness In the beginning, there will be many disturbances caused by Maya, the material energy of illusion. Maya will test us to see how firmly we are fixed in Krishna consciousness. Because she is also an agent of Krishna, she does not allow anyone the freedom to disturb Krishna. Therefore, she tests very rigidly to see whether we have taken to Krishna consciousness to disturb Krishna or are actually serious. That is Maya's business. So in the beginning, there will be tests by Maya, and we shall feel so many disturbances while making progress in Krishna consciousness. But if we follow the rules and regulations and chant regularly as prescribed, then we shall remain steady. So, yeah, if you can, something like that might be appropriate to present to the person to, encourage them to remain steadfast even in the face of disturbances, obstacles. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Maharaj. I have this question, what is the greatest attitude or behavior that a devotee can have to breeze through this lifetime servicing Vaishnavas without any offense? Or also kind of like when you go to a theme park, you get a fast pass, right? So what would be the greatest behavior or attitude, like in bullets or something that I can keep on top of my head all the time that I can practice that helps me to breeze through servicing this Vaishnavas? At least at my deathbed, I'll feel confident that, I have done my part and I'm leaving the rest to the Lord.
Out of curiosity, where are you geographically?
Sorry?
Just out of curiosity, where are you?
Houston.
I thought so. Yeah, I thought so. Well, there's on a number of occasions, 3 occasions in particular, Lord Chaitanya was asked by some householder devotees how they could make advancement. And Lord Chaitanya replied by serving the Vaishnavas and chanting the holy names. And when I first, I don't know if I say when I first, but yeah, when I first visited His Holiness Radhanath Swami's temple in Chowpatty, I saw they had that emphasis. I don't know if it came from Chaitanya Charitamrita or whether it was just Maharaj's own realization. But they had this same emphasis to chant the holy names and serve the Vaishnavas. So I would say, those are are 2 important instructions. And of course, chant without offense, which means to chant with attention. And to serve the Vaishnavas without offense, which means, with respect and humility. And then, it should be clear. It means your path should be clear. And chant good rounds, read Srila Prabhupada's books, as far as possible, distribute the knowledge to others by speaking about Krishna or by giving them Prabhupada's books. And are you living with family?
Yes, Maharaj.
Yes, and try to keep the relationships at home congenial. And the family members should see one another as devotees and, respect each other as devotees and serve each other as devotees. Yeah. When I grew up, I used to see this slogan. I was just a young boy, but they had this slogan: "The family that prays together stays together." So, yeah, and especially, with the pandemic and various restrictions, we end up probably maybe spending more time with our family members. We want the environment at home to be, spiritual and devotional and Krishna conscious.
Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Namrata. Hare Krishna. Oh, there you are. Namrat, yes.
Okay, so Maharaj, my question was that in reference to devotee association, sometimes we find that when you are trying to associate with a devotee, they ask questions or they comment on your business or your material opulence or something like that, and which is not very Krishna conscious. And at that time, one doesn't know how one can react to such a situation. Is it that you don't associate because association is so important? So what is one supposed to do in that? Are we supposed to ignore those instances and focus on what our Krishna consciousness is and the devotee association? How can we differentiate and decide that, okay, this is what I should not be doing and this is okay? I don't know if I'm trying to make myself as clear as possible. In my years of Krishna consciousness, this is the one issue I have faced. So I don't have an answer to it. I'll be happy if you can please help me. Thank you.
Well, when they ask you about things related to the material side of your life,
yes,
are they like concerned about you as a person? Are they asking out of genuine interest, or are they prying and probing, maybe looking to find some fault or some weakness? I think
it's the third one.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but that's my experience with, and that is why I have come to a point where I'm forced to refrain from associating with devotees, and I feel that is my loss. But given the circumstance, I'd rather than do Vaishnava Aparadh or to do something which is offensive, it's better to stay away and just associate with Prabhupada's lectures and his books and my chanting and my personal service to my Guru Maharaj and to the disciplic succession.
I mean, that's okay, but we needed the association of devotees.
Yes, true.
And, I would say that if someone brings up an unpalatable topic, you should just change the subject. I mean, this is something, His Holiness Radhanath Swami said, and it's in the context in which he said it. It wasn't even that devotees were, trying to probe and, find some dirt. But it was just that the topics that they were bringing up were, in his estimation, not that congenial to Krishna consciousness.
Yes, precisely.
So he would say, because he would say, I still have, some rounds to chant. So you're welcome to join me in chanting. Or he might say, I still have to finish, do some reading. And you're welcome to join me in the reading. That way you're not rejecting the person. You're welcoming the person into your life, but in a context that will be spiritually beneficial for you and the person.
Okay, so what you're saying is basically change the topic.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, all right. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Bye. So I don't see any more hands raised. And if that's the case, we could conclude by offering Vaishnava Pranam. One last chance. Anyone wants to ask any question or share any reflection?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, could I just say one thing about this? I think that one thing in reference to this, the last question, so many questions like that. I think one thing that is very helpful is that to remember how much Srila Prabhupada had to tolerate, to bring us what we have. And to appreciate, we have such a wonderful, nice thing that Srila Prabhupada gave us. And then what he had to go through, if we can remember that, then it will help us to tolerate, these things, when we are confronted. And, having, also, very good association is very helpful. Just like, I was listening to you, the words, the pure example, that helps uplift us, and it also makes us want to be like that. I want to be able, to uplift somebody as well, like you've been uplifted. So I think having, seeing good examples, having good association, it makes us want to be better, and it makes us want to be more tolerant, to be the kind of Vaishnavas that can, help each other. Just wanted to throw that out.
That's very good. In fact, I'm glad you said that, because at one stage I was going to mention that and then it just didn't come out, but you said it. And I think to make it very clear, according to Shastra, I will quote what Srila Rupa Goswami says about sadhu sangha, which means basically associating with devotees. He says, Swajati ashaye snigde sadhu sangha swato vare. And swajatiya, literally swajatiya means like in one's caste or community. But Srila Prabhupada, we could say like-minded. Swajati ashaye snigde. Now, snigdha means affection. And one way of reading it is, affection, have a similar affection for the Lord. But another way of reading it is that the sadhu should have affection for you. So, swajati ashaye snigde sadhu sangat swatovare. And swatovare means you should be more advanced than you. So this is the real definition of sadhu sangha. And just one nice exchange I had with His Holiness Sachinanda and Swami one year. He was spending Kartik at Radhakund, and he had a very severe namvrat, to chant so many holy names. But still, he made a time for us to meet and discuss. And we came to this point of sadhu sangha swatovare, because at that time there were some devotees who had the idea that to get more advanced association, you had to go outside of ISKCON, which we did not accept. And so that sadhu sangha swatovare, associating with more advanced devotee, can be fulfilled within ISKCON. And I'm speaking more like, in the case of Sachinanda and Swami and I, were more like peers, by seeing the other as more advanced. Like Srila Prabhupada said, we should address one another as Prabhu, as master, and we are servants. So, Sachinanda and Swami was saying that, from his position, he'll see, Giriraj Swami, he's more advanced than I am. I can learn from him. I should serve him. And then Giriraj Swami, from his position, as a humble Vaishnava, will think, Sachinanda Swami is more advanced than I am. I can learn from him, and I should serve him. So in having that humble Vaishnava mood, one can get sadhu sangha in that sense, sadhu sangha swatovare, seeing others as being more advanced than one's self, even if super, even if they are peers, even like amongst peers. So yeah, and there are, by Srila Prabhupada's grace, opportunities to associate with more advanced devotees, and who are affectionate to you, and that's very congenial and beneficial.
Yes, very much so. And it is amazing, that despite everything, the association is there in ISKCON. And I think about what Srila Prabhupada said, this Krishna consciousness movement was meant to make first-class men. Srila Prabhupada was successful in doing it. There may be faults there, but they are definitely first-class devotees in ISKCON. There's no doubt about it.
Any other questions, comments, reflections? Then let us conclude by offering Vaishnava Pranam. Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, who are just like desire trees who can fulfill the desires of everyone, and a full compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. Panchakalpa tribhyascha kripa sindribhye cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnavindra ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Bhakta ki jai.
Guru Maharaj ki jai.
Simply Wonderful Fridays ki jai.
It's wonderful because you came.
So now what?
Sri Rupa Manjari will make some announcements, and we want to thank you again, Maharaj, for coming on.
The pleasure.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much for your generosity, your kindness, and your compassion. It was so sweet seeing your interaction and so many of the devotees' heartfelt feelings. It was such a sweet place. Thank you so much.
Bye.
So is Laura available to unmute to share some announcements about the farm? Is she still here?
Yes, thank you. I'm here. Maharaj, thank you so much for such a wonderful class and discussion. And I would like to thank everyone for being here today. And I would love to welcome everyone to Bhakti Urban Farm this weekend. We're at 5415 Wheatley. That's the same street as Ella, and that's just 2 miles north of the temple. We're open from 9 to 12, both Saturday and Sunday. On Saturday, come volunteer in the garden or groom and feed and cuddle the cows. On Sunday, we have that same deal, but we'll also have kirtan at 11 and yummy prasadam lunch at 12. And we really hope to see you there. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. It sounds amazing. I wish I was in the area. For those of you that are, you should definitely join. And please join us next Friday to hear from His Grace Nityananda Prabhu as he speaks about the history of Krishna consciousness in Fiji. Also, if you would like to join our mailing list to receive updates and information about upcoming programs, I've put the link to the WhatsApp chat in the chat, so please join if you're interested. Thank you so much. And Hare Krishna, I hope to see you all again. Thank you for joining us, and thank you again, Giriraj Maharaj. It was such a wonderful evening. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.